Hello, so today we're looking at some frosted headlamps. You'll know that for many years now car headlamps have been made of plastic rather than glass as they used to be, and they do tend to craze and fade in the UV light over time. These ones are looking really tired now, possibly beyond repair, but they really are quite foggy, so we're going to try and restore them. So this is just a really quick video on how to at least try and tidy them up a little bit. They actually look better on screen than they do in real life, but you can probably tell how foggy they are. So let's see if we can get that out now, and let's have a look at what we need. So as crude as it sounds, the basic process is just to sand the plastic back to get a fresh smooth surface. So what do we need for that? Well, various grades of sandpaper. There's all sorts in here. I'm going to go right back to about 800 I think, and then work up into maybe sort of 1200 upwards, progressively finer grades of wet and dry. So we've got some clean water in the bucket there, so we'll keep it lubricated with whilst we sand that. Also then, this is not essential, this is just a dual action polisher sander with some pads, but it can be done by hand with a cloth if you want to. I've here got some rubbing compound, which is basically a cutting compound, so it's mildly abrasive, and this will pick up after the sandpaper has finished. And then on top of that as well, we've got some polishing wax. This really serves to provide a glossy protection, and also some UV protection as well, because obviously once you've done this, it is still susceptible to some UV damage. So you want to put a UV lacquer or some protective UV waxes over the top to slow down its degradation in the future. So first thing we'll do, you can see the masking tape there, so we'll protect the paintwork and mask around the lights. Yeah, just make sure you've got your coffee or tea ready, and we'll make a start. Okay, so we've put some tape around the headlamp just to protect the surrounding paintwork, and you can see how foggy and crazed the plastic is probably from this angle. You'll also notice that I've also covered the engine bay with an old cloth. Because I'll be using a mechanical polisher a bit later on, it does have a habit of throwing some of the compound around a little bit, so we're just taking a few precautions to save us having to clean up too much afterwards. But if you're doing it all by hand, of course, that won't be so much of an issue. Also, you don't have to lift the bonnet, it's just on this particular car, access is much better just by doing this. I just wanted to show you this quickly as we start, and hopefully you'll be able to see from this angle that there's a lot of milky nasty stuff already coming off the lamp there. It was clean sandpaper, so this just goes to show you, and we'd already rinsed the lamp off, but there's a lot of ingrained stuff already, and we've barely started yet. So we'll start with this 800 grade, and we'll start working our way through finer grits of paper and see how we get on. So that's the first pass with the 800 grit. Now, a couple of things to notice. One, it is already noticeably better than the side that hasn't been done yet. Don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's certainly a lot less yellow. Of course it is foggy because it's been sanded, so if we just wet it down real quick, you can see it is better now. But the other thing we can see, there's quite a lot of internal sort of stress cracks, but aging is on the inside of the plastic and all the way through, so there's only going to be so much we can do with this. Obviously we can't polish all of the inside of the lens, but we can continue to at least clean it up and freshen it up and improve the headlamp beam sort of performance. So let's carry on and do that for now, and let's see how we get on. And that's 3 grades in now, so we've done 800, 1000 and 1200 grit, and we'll probably now just do 15, 2000 and maybe 2500, and then we'll start doing the polishing. It is starting to look a lot better. You can see all the junk that's sort of been coming off. The only thing to do really is just make sure that each grade that you use, all you're really doing is polishing out all the scratches from the previous grade. So that's that one. We'll just let the van go past, and then yeah, so basically just carry on polishing out the scratches from each. You'll kind of feel once it's stopped working and it's ready for the next grade. And that's it. But because I've done 3 grades already, you can see that the water's starting to get a bit grotty now, so we'll put some fresh stuff in because we don't want to be polishing bits of old coarser grit back into our lens. So let's just change the water and keep going. So that's the sanding finished. It's had 800 grit, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000 and 2500. A lot cleaner looking now, but obviously still a bit foggy, so we're going to go and polish it now. You can use rubbing compound and just do this by hand with a damp cloth. I'm going to use a machine polisher just to speed things up a bit. But you can already see, even though it's a bit foggy, you can see the colour of that. It's sort of clear silvery colour versus the one I haven't done yet, which is kind of green and milky and quite grim. So let's go and sand this down with let's go and polish this up now, and yeah, then we'll come back and have a look. And so there she is. So she's been cut down with various grades of sandpaper now, had a cutting sort of T-cut type polish applied by the machine, although you can do it by hand, it just takes a little bit longer, and then a final sort of cut and wax over the top to protect against the UV light. So you can see that, yeah, it's not perfect because there's some internal crazing as well, just because it's an old car. But if you compare that, for example, to the rather decidedly pond water like one that we've got here, you can barely see through it. You can barely see in natural light, you can barely even see that indicator. Actually, it's really foggy, but hopefully that helps. So all it remains now is to do the other side. You would normally, of course, do them in pairs anyway whilst you've got the certain grade of sandpaper in your hand, but I thought it'd be nice to show you the before and after. So as I say, it's much more obvious in real life than it is on the camera, but hopefully that gives you some idea. But if there's any sort of questions, then do please fire them my way if there's anything I haven't covered, and I'd be happy to comment. Thanks very much indeed for watching.